Hey there, everybody. It's Mrs. Nichols. Today we are going to do an experiment. This is something that you hopefully would be able to do at home. I hope to find things that were fairly easy to come by. The only thing is, if you're going to do an experiment at home, please always get permission first before you start doing anything. But what I've decided to do is what we could call kitchen science. Now, you might notice I'm not in my kitchen. I just like it outside a lot more. So what you could do in your kitchen is you have water. Most of us have water. Is you could either get a large container and fill it full of water, or maybe you could fill up your sink. Again, getting permission first. But what we're going to do today with this water is we're going to look around in our kitchen, or maybe even around the house, and see if we can do some testing. We want to find out what objects will float and what objects will sink. Now, whenever we do an experiment, we start by asking a question, right? And so our questions could be, does it float or does it sink? Now, whenever we do an experiment, as you guys know this in class, is after we've asked our question, is we make our hypothesis. So first what I'll do is I'll show you the different materials that we're going to test out. And I did bring a large container of water out here. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. So I'm going to show you the different things we're going to test out. We're going to make our hypotheses, or I will. If you guys want to following along at home, that would be great. You could always watch this later. You could stop the video, go get yourself a piece of paper. Now, if we were back in class, I would hand out your journals and we would all gather on the carpet and do this all together, and then I'd let you guys go off and try it yourselves. But first of all, let's make our hypothesis. These are the things that we are going to test out. We are going to see if an apple will float. We are going to check on a banana. We're going to check on an orange. Let's see. Oh, I have an empty glass jar. Oh, one thing we could do is, I'm not going to be able to do it now because I'm outside here, but is we could test it empty and then we could fill it with different things. See if it makes any difference. Oh, what else do I have? Oh, I know. I got some Play-Doh. So I made a little Play-Doh ball, and then I also wanted to find out if it would make a difference if the Play-Doh was flattened. So I have a piece of it flattened out here. And then the last thing we're going to test, if I can find it because it's small, oh, here it is a little teeny tiny paper clip. So we're going to test that. But first, the hypothesis. So what I did is I wrote all of these objects down here on my whiteboard, and I have if it's going to float or sink. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this side for when we're actually testing it. So this will be the side where I'm collecting data. Remember, we do that as we test, as we see what's going on, and we write down our observations. So though, to make our hypothesis, this is what I'm going to do. Let me get my marker here. I might need to change it over to this side. That might work a little bit better for me. Okay, so I'm going to put a letter H for hypothesis right there. And then I'm going to put right next to each item, I'm going to put an F if I think it's going to float, and an S if I think it's going to sink. Now, the first few things I've noticed, they all seem to be pretty big. And a lot of times we think, the bigger something is, the heavier it's going to be, and the less it's going to float, especially if you don't have a whole lot of water. So, I'm thinking the apple is going to sink. I'm also thinking that the banana is going to sink. So see, I'm putting S's there next to them for sink. The orange, what did I read about an orange? Something about how there's a lot of air in the orange peel, and air makes things really light. So I'm going to take that information and I'm going to guess that that might actually float. I might be wrong. Empty jar, well, it's glass. but it's empty. Well, I still think it's going to sink. The Play-Doh ball. Play-Doh's pretty light, but when it's round like that, there's not a whole lot of surface for the water to push up against. So I think that one's going to sink. And my guess, my hypothesis is with the flatter piece, there's a little bit more surface for the water to push against. I'm thinking that one's going to float. The paperclip is so tiny, isn't it? It's really, really light. I think that one's going to float too. All right. So those are my hypotheses. They might not be yours, and that's okay. But let's test it out, okay? So let me put this down. And I should probably do this so that we can see the tub of water a little bit better. There we go. All right, we are going to try the apple first. There's the apple. I thought sink. Be interesting to know what you guys think. All right, let's put it in. And look at that. It floated. Well, instead of saying that I was wrong, you know what I'm going to say? I just learned something. Let's try the banana. All right, float or sink. I said sink. Now I don't know. Oh my goodness gracious, that thing's floating too. Look at that. Well, I'm 0 for 2 right now. Now, the orange. I hypothesized that the orange is actually going to float. Watch, this will be the one that sinks. Here we go. Ah! Yep, that one floated. I do remember reading there's a lot of air in that orange peel. Makes me wonder about these other things. Okay, what was our next one? Oh, the empty jar, the glass jar. All right, let's get you guys out of the way here. And I'm going to put it in and watch it. Ha! Float. Yep, it floated. All right, let's try that Play-Doh, the little ball of Play-Doh. What do we see? And hey, that one did sink. I was right, there's not enough surface for it, for the water to push against. Let's try this flatter piece. I wonder if I made it too wide. Maybe if I do it this way too, if I lay it down carefully, is it going to float? Oh, that one sank too. All right, the last one, and I've lost my paper clip. Oh, here it is. My little teeny tiny paper clip. We're going to put it in. Is it going to float? I said it was going to. And oh my goodness, that one sank faster than anything else. Do you see it down there? Well, let's check my little hypothesis here. Put this back up. Okay, so let's check our results. What actually happened? Let's collect our data. And our apple, it floated, didn't it? Look at those things that are floating in there. So the apple floated. So I'm going to put a check mark here. It floated. The banana floated. The orange floated. The jar floated. Oops. The Play-Doh, yes, the Play-Doh sank. That flat piece of Play-Doh, I'm really surprised about that one. Maybe if I made it a little bigger and flatter, I don't know. That's something to test out. That one also sank, didn't it? And that paper clip, boom, right to the bottom. That thing sank. So out of all of these, that's so surprising. Remember how I said something about a lot of people think that the bigger something is, the heavier it is, the more it's going to sink, or the faster or the easier it's going to sink. And all of these bigger things floated. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So what's happening is called buoyancy. These items are buoyant. Buoyancy is actually the water pushing against the surface of the object. Now, it would be a lot different if I had a lot less water in here. Then they probably wouldn't be able to float as well. But that's something you could try out too. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that while you're stuck at home, there's actually a lot of science that you can do. Something as easy as just getting some water and collecting a few items. Ooh, the sun's coming out. Ah, it's so bright. Collecting some items and trying them out. Again, make sure that you do ask for permission before you do anything, okay? So, hope you had fun, and I'll be talking to you soon. Bye.